guys are live. CP, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Saturday afternoon. Game 3 is in the books, and it did not go the way the Knicks would have liked it to go. Miami smothering the Knicks from beginning to end, wire-to-wire victory. This Knicks team just was not ready for action. Jimmy Butler returned and led his troops to victory. And for the Knicks, man, it was looking like the New York Bricks out there. Couldn't muster any offense. Shots not falling for them. No ball movement whatsoever. And this one was over before it started, ladies and gentlemen. 105-86. The Knicks get smoked in Miami, man. CP the franchise, Alex Rotaros, JD Sports Talk, the Holy Trinity of KnicksFanTV in the building. The good news is, for the first time in KFTV history, we are simulcasting live on the Bleacher Report app. So salute to all of our fans tuning in right now on Bleacher Report. As usual, salute to KFTV Nation tapping in right now on the post-game show. But the bad news is the Knicks got absolutely smoked, man. And, some of the same woes carried over from game 2, fellas. The ball movement stymied. 3-point shooting. Knicks 20% from downtown. Couldn't buy a basket. But your three stars in Brunson, Barrett, and Randall go 16 of 51 from the field. Randall 4 of 15. Brunson 7 of 20. RJ 5 of 16. I mean, it starts there, and it was just abysmal, man. But for me, fellas, it also starts with the energy. You had to expect the Miami Heat to come out, being at home, game 3, Jimmy Butler back. You had to expect them to be galvanized. And they came with the energy that the Knicks just could not match. And from there, the Knicks were just fighting an uphill battle, man. An absolute uphill battle all game. And you just can't do it in the playoffs, man. It becomes much, much harder, especially when your offense, it just isn't there, man. JD, give me some thoughts on this one, man.
Man, this was a very disappointing performance by the team. And, quite frankly, at this point, the Knicks just can't shoot. They just can't shoot. They can't shoot. And sometimes we will overcomplicate the game and we'll look at certain analysis. They just can't shoot right now. I mean, at the end of the day, the Heat scored 105 points. At the end of the day, the Heat shot 38.9% from the field. At the end of the day, the Heat shot 22% from 3. I mean, when you're going to have the opponent shoot that bad, from an overall perspective, you're going to give yourself a great shot to win basketball games. However, when the opponent, in this case, the Knicks, are shooting worse than that, 34%, 20% from 3, 8 of 40, you're not going to win many ball games. And then coupled with the fact that, the Heat now have found something in the way that the Knicks are starting their starting lineup with the Josh Hart RJ combination during the duration of a 7-game series. Listen, they can get hot for one game, but Eric Spoelstra doesn't look at this as a one-game thing. He looks at it sooner rather than later. It's going to come. We're going to continue to play this defense. They are collapsing on every single drive. Every time Randall gets the ball on the center court, you see 2 Heat wings right there at the free throw line trying to collapse all the lanes, any crease to the basket, and they're baiting the Knicks to shoot the threes. They want Josh Hart to shoot threes. They want RJ to shoot threes. Tom Thibodeau is going to have to make an adjustment. I said this on the play-by-play, CP and Alex. Now you're at a point where the Knicks have played 8 games in the playoffs. They're shooting 27.8% from 3. They've only shot 1 game in 8. This is including the Cavs series. Yeah. 1 game over 31%. That was game 2 where they shot 40% from 3. Every other game, they've shot under 31% from 3. I guess this is who you are. If you're Tom Thibodeau, what I think you should do game 4, you have to go back with Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup, and you're going to have to go with your shooters, even though they're not shooting well, and just die with the results. At this point, you make an adjustment, you die with the results, and I think you have to go more with your shooters and bring Josh Hart off the bench and see if that gives you a punch late in the first and late in quarters.
I'm telling you, man, and shout out to FRS on the Bleacher Report chat, says these boys can't shoot the ball. I Beasley says we got to stop forcing so many threes. Al, based on what JD is saying, I said it in the set after the game too. The Josh Hart thing is so interesting because for a lot of the game, it's so cringe the way that he operates in the offense when we can't shoot. And then in the end, he comes up in crunch time. I don't mind him closing the games whatsoever, but he has no confidence in his shot. And the Heat are not respecting him at all. They are sagging off 5 feet from him. So it makes everything harder on your driving lanes. You have no spacing. And then on top of that, when Brunson and Randall are getting into the lane, they're not facilitating at all. So the offense is just stuck in the mud, man. We gotta make some changes here.
Absolutely. And I mean, CP, JD, you guys are just preaching to the choir at this point. I wrote a whole article for KnicksFanTV.com talking about the 3-point shot, right? And one suggestion I made was put Quentin Grimes back into the starting rotation. First off, we already know what Tom Thibodeau is thinking. It's like, okay, we're going to have the same physicality to match Jimmy Butler's intensity with Josh Hart. I get that 100%. But look, on the regular season, Quentin Grimes has just done just as good of a job as Josh Hart. And we know Grimes is not shooting well. JD pointed it out. But when you have Josh Hart only taking 1 3-point attempt and he continues to pump fake, drive, and it just closes off everything else for Brunson, Randall, RJ. All those guys operate 15 feet in. So you put Grimes back out there, even though his shot is not there. If you do get him in rhythm, if you do give him those opportunities, and you don't, because it's a conundrum with Grimes, right? Because we know that he can take himself out of the game by passing it up and trying to be that connector. At the same time, we know that he has that capability of just shooting the roof off the building, right? And I think that theoretical shooting is much needed. Also, that quick step we need that too. Because his ability to punish guys who close out too fast on him and just to get by them and attack the rim, put pressure on the rim, that's another element that we're missing. And look, love Josh Hart, said it. I love what he brings to this team, man. I'm looking in my wallet to see if I can go buy a Josh Hart jersey. But if you're going to have Josh Hart, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and then Mitchell Robinson in the same starting unit to start the game, Spoelstra already knows, like, yo, I will gladly pack the paint because these guys are not that great of a 3-point shooting team. Yes, Brunson's been good on the season. Randall could shoot high volume threes, but still, in order for those guys to get in rhythm, they have to get downhill first, which then helps them have the space from up top. We're just not seeing that right now, man. We're just not seeing that right now, and Tibbs has to go back to it, as what JD said.
Not seeing it at all whatsoever. LJ in the chat says Tibbs getting out coached. It's frustrating. Holes in the chat says, is it time to go Fournier? Now, we did lose Emmanuel Quickley in this game. Unfortunately, lower leg injury. Maybe it's a sprain. Could be a break. It just Quickley was walking back to the back very gingerly, and that's tough, man, because another thing I had said after game 2 was, can these guys weather the storm? Can they make it through this? Do they have the endurance to make it through this? It's not just about executing an X's and O's, not just about shooting, but it's about endurance. Physically, mentally, and you lost Quick. You saw Brunson coming up hobbled, Mitchell Robinson coming up hobbled. I mean, if Quick is down, how do you guys see this rotation playing out? I mean, JD, you said you would go with Grimes, but do you go with the Fournier for a couple of minutes off the bench just to get some firepower going out there, man?
No, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. And the reason is because, and I understand the mindset. You get to this moment and you're just scrambling. So you're looking at the end of the bench. Come on, let's put Derrick Rose in. Let's put Evan Fournier. I understand Evan Fournier is a shooter. The problem is defensively, these Heat players are a bunch of, mini Klay Thompsons in the way that they move around. Duncan Robinson, Max Strus. Fournier will struggle mightily just staying with these guys, right? So he can come in for what, 15 minutes? Is that what you're asking for? Like, at this point, what the Knicks need is their star performers have to carry the team. And I go back to not overcomplicating it. Tonight, Julius Randle had an absolutely terrible game. And my number one key in the play-by-play was star performance. When you go on the road in these series swinging games, you need your stars to perform. Okay, Evan Fournier comes in. Wait, what is he going to give you? 8 points? Is 8 points going to make a difference when Julius Randle's going 4 for 16? Is that going to make a difference when Jalen Brunson's going 7 of 20? Is that going to make a difference when RJ Barrett's going 5 for 16? Like, yes, we're going to need those guys. We're going to need the bench players. But when you go on the road, look at what Kevin Durant and Devin Booker did last night. Look at the Celtics game last night. In the end, it's going to come down to your best players. Yep. When you go on the road, you know what the saying is. Role players are not great on the road. They're better at home. We're in Miami, and we're over here having a conversation about if Evan Fournier is the solution. Absolutely not. I think you need your star players, and they need to perform.
Yeah, obviously, you need your star players to perform, but you're looking for supporting cast. You got Hard out there bricking away. RJ hasn't really been shooting the ball well. Now you lose Quick. I mean, Al, where are you going? If you lose Quick, what is this rotation looking like for you in Game 4?
Oh my goodness! I mean,
going Deuce.
Yeah, I would rather have Deuce than
Deuce is loose.
I would rather have Deuce than Fournier, and this is nothing against Fournier. It's the fact that his defense would just hurt the Knicks that much more, right? Look, the Miami Heat had 13 points in transition today. Fournier in transition would be the Achilles heel of the Knicks because everyone would just get out in transition. Fournier wouldn't be able to cover them, and then now you're asking Fournier to make up for that shooting, for that transition scoring by the Miami Heat for now his shooting, and you better hope that he's hot that night and go 6 for 8 because that's the only way you're going to be able to make it up. I wouldn't go in that direction. I'd go with Deuce because we need more defense at this point. We're just watching Miami get to all their spots on the court, man, whether it's in that mid-range, whether it's shooting from 3. You need guys who are better equipped to fight around screens, who are willing to chase down transition. That's a Deuce McBride situation. And I'd rather take the chance with Deuce shooting than Evan Fournier making life easy for the Miami Heat. I'm not looking at Fournier. I get the idea, though. Maybe if he was in rhythm and maybe if you saw more throughout the regular season where he's more reliable. But that one-night stand is a one-night stand for a reason, guys.
and let me say this real quick, CP, on that as well. You're not playing JB Bickerstaff. This is Eric Spoelstra you're going against. And when you look at the way the Heat have been playing, it's been an Eric Spoelstra masterclass. Look at the first quarter, how Spoelstra was calling a lot of action on Jalen Brunson, trying to get through screens and trying to cover Max Strus. Jalen Brunson had a tough first quarter just trying to keep up with Max Strus, who is not really a great offensive player. He's a great shooter, but Spoelstra wanted to attack him. Spoelstra has been doing that all series. Whenever he sees a matchup, you got to remember, this is a Heat team that's not the most talented team. They have a bunch of undrafted players. The way that they win is a lot goes through Spoelstra's ability to identify a weakness on the court and just attack it and hope and live with the results. So you bring in Evan Fournier, trust me, he's not going to let 1 minute go by without challenging that decision from the New York Knicks. So if you look at what's left for the Knicks and what's left in terms of the Sixers and the Celtics, the best coach that's left in the playoffs is Eric Spoelstra. And that's why the Knicks so far have had a tough challenge just getting through. They're going to have a tough challenge getting through this series. And obviously now Game 4 is a must win.
Ken Dez in the chat says keep Fournier's ass on the bench, bring in McBride before that. And yeah, Alex is right, man. The way the Heat run these guys off of screens, you need somebody that's going to be able to navigate that well and keep some of these Heat offensive players. So that's got to be better. That absolutely has to be better. But losing Quick was big, man. I'm not sure how this I'm not sure how we recover here bench-wise because the Knicks, once again, get outscored in bench points by a score of 32-25. You lose Quick now. That's going to be a big hit. 3 games now. 3 games. The Heat bench have outscored the Knicks. Kyle Lowry, another big game for Miami, man. Kyle Lowry, 8 to 14 points tonight.
How many games are you going to wait, CP, before you make the adjustments? You just said 3 games the Heat bench has outscored the Knicks. And you talk about Josh Hart just having that better chemistry off the bench. I mean, I don't know what other lineup adjustments you can make. You saw late there, Tibbs was scrambling for something, and he played Obi and Randall a little bit just to get a little bit more spacing out there because, man, with RJ and Hart starting in the starting lineup, the Knicks are going to have tough starts. The Knicks are going to have tough starts. And the other thing, too, is it's funny because Josh Hart's, like, you know, timing and the way that he doesn't shoot off the bench is actually a good thing because he's usually around other players, Obi, Quickley. He's around players that can take the shot. But in the starting lineup, you can't hesitate when you're around Brunson, when you're around Randall, and then Mitch is on the paint. That core three, the other two guys have to be guys that want to be able to shoot and score. And if you're Josh Hart, you have to understand what the defense actually wants you to do when you're with that starting lineup. That thing is going to fly off the bench. As a starter, you can't keep faking these corner threes and start to drive and go nowhere because it kills the shot clock. And then as you saw tonight, you end up in a lot of situations where you're not shooting quality shots.
Yeah. And even on like the flip side, right? When you look at the bench, you see a lot of people are just intimidated to just drive and get to the middle. Like even Quickley, like he had some shots, some floaters in there today, but outside of that, like Obi tried, Grimes tried, but you need a consistent finisher that, like RJ, and that's RJ's purpose, but it's just tough when you don't have a guy that's more reliant. And even though RJ's had strong games up until this point consistently, Josh Hart's ability to be consistent and lead that one-man fast break, to also be a facilitator, like that's what that second unit is missing, because Quick is now given that task to be more of a glue guy and make sure everyone gets into rhythm, and which takes away from his ability to be that off-ball scorer. Putting Hart back in there, I think, would mitigate those issues. You know, hopefully Quickley is fine. He's able to come back for the next game. We don't know yet, but that's the stuff that Josh Hart gives for that second unit that it's missing, and that spark and that energy and that grit. And I think I just don't understand. And it